told Matt before we started this segment, I was like, I know Gary, and I know he is going to know exactly what you did in 2005 against the Miami Hurricanes, and that was his first start. That was the first chance LSU fans, Gary, got a chance to see what this guy could be.
Well, I think you threw for 2 touchdowns. I think you ran for 70 yards.
I did, yeah.
And
I did.
The last time I was sitting around you guys was 20 years ago in the Georgia Dome.
That's right. That was what a cool moment for me personally, of course.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible season. 2005. It was the year Hurricane Katrina. Impacted so many lives in Louisiana, and they say the season started with a hurricane and we ended with a hurricane.
Well, you know what? Yeah. We brought the Sugar Bowl to Atlanta that year. I talked with Paul Holohan, and I said, Paul, I know you can't play in the Superdome. And everybody was pounding him about, oh, come here, come here. I said, Paul, look, we'll help you sell tickets. We'll get you office space. We'll do whatever we can. It's your decision. If you want to come up to Atlanta, just know we're going to be here. And they wound up coming up here. We got them office space, sold some tickets for them. And Sugar Bowl was a great game with West Virginia and Georgia. And West Virginia ran them out. Yeah. So that was probably West Virginia's greatest win ever, other than beating Pitt probably up in their backyard brawl up there.
I'm just glad Pitt beat West Virginia our senior year, so we could go to the national championship.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh,
that had a big impact on you guys.
That was a very cool game, and I've told you this before, but the Peach Bowl will always mean so much to me because, one, it was a great week, first class, everything y'all did. That. I mean, I'll never stop eating Chick-fil-A because it's just we got all that we
All you can eat.
All you can
everywhere.
eat. It was like
That's
utopia, eating Chick-fil-A whenever
you give a college kid as much Chick-fil-A as he wants, and oh my gosh.
Make him happy, right?
That's exactly It is a dream scenario.
Yes, and so I always – but Matt did get, his first opportunity. And we were we were obviously friends and roommates on the road, and so to see him get that opportunity, and for me, I didn't know I was going to play running back that day. I was a starting fullback, but I didn't – and then Joe Adai hurts his hamstring after having a big game. We had another running back hurt himself on kickoff. We had another had a missed pass protection or something. And Les is looking at the sidelines. He's like, Hester, get in there. And I'm getting there running back.
Matt needed you to protect him.
That's right.
It was my first time to I played in mop-up duty and some different things. But so in that game,
you both had a huge impact on that game.
In the game, I had an opportunity to play running back behind Andrew Whitworth and this incredible offensive line, right? And so that game allowed me the next spring to kind of be the leader in the clubhouse for the starting running back position after playing fullback my first 2 years. And so, I will never forget the Peach Bowl.
That's great. Great story. Well, I'll never forget that fight afterwards. I'll tell you when who was the wide receiver?
Dwayne Bowe.
Dwayne Bowe's mouthing off at his friends at Miami, and as he takes the ball and runs by your bench, right? I'm standing down in that end zone. And he runs by, gets in the tunnel, and the Miami guys follow him in, his buddies. And obviously I'm not very big. I'm 5'11", but when you get cleats on and guys with pads on, and as big as they were, they're in that tunnel, everybody. And I'm shouting to the guy, close the gate. And they were fist fighting in there. It was wild.
It's a wild
I will never forget. And it didn't get too out of control, but it was wild. But I will never forget. You've got all like you said, these just large human beings, all these pads and stuff on. And there was a policeman in there, and when she hit the taser,
she hit the
noise
taser, that's right.
Froze everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
Were you in there? Were you mixing it up a little bit?
Oh, it was crazy.
I was in the middle of the field because it was right after the game, and so I'm kind of getting interviewed. I think Lynn Swan, somebody that was interviewing me, and all of a sudden I'm like, what's the Miami team doing running that direction? And I was like, what's our team doing running that direction?
I was on the field, when you see your teammates and their team go into a tunnel, you don't ask questions, you go figure it out, and we'll sort it all out later.
At 3 in the morning, I'm in a hospital because the one kid had gashed his head. He had 5 stitches, concussion. So I go over to visit him in the hospital. I get back to the Marriott. I think Miami was in the Marriott, if I remember right. And I'm walking down the hall at 3, 4 in the morning, and here comes Donna Shillelagh, the AD there. Mm-hmm. They had fired Coker that night.
Yeah.
They fired him that night. So that was a wild evening, wild game. A lot of good memories, though.
For sure.
Well, how you guys doing? about ready to
We're doing good.
Yeah, day number
day
4.
four. It's been a little slow up here. A lot of the energy is not quite
That's
as high.
why you're having me up here.
You join us every year. You know that. And you always tell us about the kickoff games.
Yeah, we got 2 good ones
There's
this
2
year.
really good ones, 2 intriguing ones. You've got ACC, SEC, and the whole. I want to get to Virginia Tech, South Carolina. That's the Beamer Bowl. That's going to be very, very cool, great emotions. But this Syracuse-Tennessee game,
Sneaky.
Syracuse and Fran Brown, they're ready. Like, they're not going to back down from a fight. And then Tennessee, with all the different changes they've had, and they made the college football playoff, as we all know, a year ago, and what that program's at and the expectation there, that one right there, if you don't know who Syracuse is and you're just hand-waving it thinking it's going to be an easy win for Tennessee, that's not going to be the case at all. Syracuse kept Miami out of the playoff last year, and they might be better this year than they were a year ago.
Finished in the top 20, had 10 wins.
Yeah.
Both teams. Obviously, Tennessee makes it to the playoff. But, changing quarterbacks is, we're all living in that era now with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
It's all free agency. But tell me about Ricky Collins, because he may be the starter up there at Syracuse.
Yeah, so he's a local kid, from Baton Rouge, and he was very highly touted. I do remember when LSU offered him, it was like at a 7-on-7 event at LSU. And you kind of heard the buzz like, okay, hey, there's this local kid. Like, I know we're recruiting A, B, and C from elsewhere, but you got to come see him. And I'll never forget, like, the LSU coaching staff going to the 7-on-7. He threw, like, 2 passes. Like, yep. Hey, you're staying to talk to him. You're staying to get his commitment. Yeah, I mean, it was, right there on the spot. Very talented. Like, just happened to have maybe the nation's best quarterback in front of him in Garrett Nussmeier. And so he wanted to get on the field, wanted to challenge himself. I think it's actually kind of cool. He didn't try to maybe stay in the region. He's like, I want to go to the best situation.
Yeah.
And he goes up to Syracuse, New York. And so
great opportunity.
I think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the backup for LSU last year when Nuss would, he went down a couple of plays. I think it was Ole Miss game. Like, he was right there in. So, I mean, he was somebody LSU really valued. And quarterbacks, we know how it is. Like, if you're not playing right now, you go find a spot. But he's a good player, and I'm excited to see him be the guy.
Well, and they got in Jelly from Notre Dame.
Yeah,
that was a late transfer.
It's late, so you wonder what that competition is going to kind of be like, because obviously Ricky's going to have a couple of months on him.
Yeah, so that should be good. And then Tennessee with Aguilar. The trade with Nico,
literally like
UCLA. Who knows what he's going to bring to Tennessee? But they've got to get their running back situation with Sampson gone. But Tennessee's going to be very good this year as well.
Gary, I'm really curious just about not the business side, but how these games get scheduled. I mean, last year you had Clemson, Georgia. You've had top 25. You had top 10 matchups in this kickoff game. I think the kickoff game started in 2008.
Right.
How do those discussions go, and how long before those games get scheduled? How do you get these big teams year after year to commit to these games, and how's that partnership work out?
Well, I use a philosophy. I'm an old coach, so I use a philosophy of rocks. You got to have guts, and I don't want to say it on air. What rocks, you got to have, right?
We get it.
You have rocks, right? Rocks is building relationships. Is R. O, you got to be opportunistic. C, you got to be competitive, and S, you got to be strategic. So the way I look at things is I'll look at recruiting. I'll look at how long a coach's contract is. You analyze all that stuff to start with. And then just through relationships, you start talking to people. John Wildhack was at ESPN, and we signed a lot of contracts with him, TV contracts at Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So when he got the job at Syracuse, he said, Gary, trying to build a program, would love to come, when you can fit us in the kickoff game. Tennessee, we've talked to Danny White. We had him when they won the national championship against Auburn in our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl when they were at UCF. So, you got relationships. I'll tell you the best one, and it relates to LSU, back to you guys, is back in 2000, I get a call from Nick Saban at LSU. And he says, Gary, we're 8-4. The best bowl we can get to is the Peach Bowl. We're trying to build a program here. I think it was his first or second year. We got to get it to the Peach Bowl. And so I fly down. First time and only time I've ever gotten a call from a coach to play in our bowl game. I fly down. I meet with him. I meet with Charlie Weems, who's chairman of the board, and I meet with Mark Emmert, who is chancellor. And they said, we'll do whatever we can. We want to get to your game. So we took Georgia Tech, who was like 13th in the country, and Godsey was their quarterback. And so I fly back, and my job was to pick the team. So I go to my board, and I said, well, we're going to take LSU. No, we don't want LSU. I said, what do you mean you don't want LSU? And again, this is 2000. I took the job in 98. They said we had LSU in 96 with DiNardo. He wasn't very good. He didn't promote the game.
Yeah.
They got beat by Clemson. They didn't sell any tickets. We don't want LSU back. I said, well, I'm just telling you, the coach, the chairman of the board, and the athletic or the president said they'll do whatever we need to do. So I take LSU. I tell my board, I said, look, if they don't do what they said they're going to do, you can fire me. I was in my second year. I said, I'm putting my job on the line. You can fire me. The first day of ticket sales, they sell 16,421 tickets. I still remember Mr. Gill sold 1,000 tickets and gave yellow shirts to all his employees and said, you get your asses to Atlanta and support the Tigers.
Yeah.
And so LSU came up. Rohan Davey came in the second half, spotted Josh Booty, and hits Josh Reed in the back of the end zone, and they win 28-14.
Yeah.
So I go back on campus, as we've done every year for 28 years, to do a good, the bad, and the ugly, in continual improvement to find out what we need to improve on. And Nick tells me, Gary, every kid that we were recruiting signed with us that year. And that was the Marcus Spears group that won the national championship in 03. So Nick felt indebted. Fast forward to 08, I'm putting together this kickoff game format because the BCS was going to a fifth game. And us and the Cotton Bowl really put in strong bids. Well, Paul Houlihan, who's a good friend of ours who's since passed away, talked the commissioners into letting the Sugar Rose, Orange, and Fiesta double host. Where they'd host their game and then 2 weeks later host the national championship on a rotational basis. And so we didn't get in. So the next year the NCAA legislates the 12th game. So I go to my board, I'm competitive again. I said, well, if they're not going to let us on the BCS on the backside of the season, we're starting the BCS on the front side of the season. And so I came up with Alabama and Clemson. I get Clemson, who had Spiller and was going to be top 10. And I go to Nick, and I said, Nick, he was in his second year. Now, he had finished 7-6.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we played against them.
Beating Louisiana
Monroe beat them,
to get to 7-6 his first year. People don't remember that. And so he said, Gary, you help me out at LSU. I'll help you out and come over in this game. So he came over. They won 34-10, cover of Sports Illustrated. Alabama's back. And if Nick were sitting here, he'd tell you that's the run they've been on was because of this game. And so the next year they come in number 5. Virginia Tech was number 7. Frank Beamer. They beat Virginia Tech. They win the national championship. So, that's long story about how these things get done is relationships, like most things in business. So we've been very blessed to have them.
Fascinating. I know our listeners are going to be that story about 2000. Because that started, like you said, that led to the recruiting class, that led to the 03 national championship. That started this run that LSU is on still today. One of the blue bloods in college football was, Saban being there early on. So that's a fascinating story.
Well, I'll tell you another one
calling.
About LSU when you guys lose in the championship game of the SEC. What year was that? 05. And everybody passes on you. And I said, I can't pass on them. So we're going to – and typically you don't want to come back to Atlanta, right, because you're just playing the SEC championship game. So I take LSU. And that was, getting – Miami was number 10. You guys were number 9. I go down to LSU to do the press conference. And Les grabs my arm and shakes and says, you have a damn fine team coming to Atlanta. Just about took my shoulder out of socket. And he says, but I need to talk to you. I said, okay. And we go back in his office. It was right before the press conference. He said, Garrett, I can't say Chick-fil-A. I said, what do you mean, Les? He says, I have a deal with Raising Cane. I said, who the hell is Raising Cane? I've never heard of Raising Cane. They weren't in Atlanta back then. And he said, well, they're a chicken company. And I said, well, don't say Chick-fil-A. Just say Peach Bowl. That's fine.
Right.
And Les. Typical Les.
Can you come office? I got to tell you.
That was it. It was like I thought he was going to say, hey, I'm gonna send nuclear bombs somewhere, or something. Hey, I gotta talk to you. We gotta meet in your office, in my office. I said, all right.
I expect you to say that he was about to say, I can't bring my starting quarterback. But no, I got to deal with Canes.
Kind of wimpy kid from Tyler, Texas. Bring it over there.
So good.